Hello, my name is Austin Green, and I am co-owner of Borderless Shoes, along with Skylar Charlton, who you will hear from later on in this video. First, I'd like to start off by stating our strategic vision. Our company's plan was to differentiate itself by providing customers with superior quality products. We did this by offering authentic products that were vastly advertised and endorsed on a large scale from the celebrities that we acquired. Our focus was on genuine quality and publicizing our brand in order to lead to brand success in the future. For our branded competitive strategy, our company um, strived to employ global differentiation and in order to set us apart from other footwear companies that were in the market. Um, we did this by offering a higher SQ rating, by offering more advertising, by offering a greater celebrity appeal, by offering higher mail-in rebates, and by expanding networks of retail outlets. For our private label competitive strategy, we utilized the remaining production, if any, after the wholesale market predictions had been met in order to be competitive in the private label market. We had to keep prices low by using economies to scale, or the more we produced, the less it cost per pair of shoe. Next, I'd like to talk about net revenues. Overall, our net revenues went up pretty consistently over the 10 years that we were in business. There was a small decrease in our revenues in year 14. This can partially be explained by our decision to pay off the remaining amount of debt we had that we acquired early on. By paying off our debt, we avoided paying additional interest payments, and we also improved our image rating and earnings per share, which was attractive for any potential investors. But we believe the major cause for this decline in year 14 was due to competitors increasing their SQ ratings, thereby taking a larger portion of our market share than we had predicted. Next, this is our earnings per share. Generally, we had a positive trend in our earnings per share. However, we experienced a decrease in our earnings per share in years 11, 14, and 19. Year 11's decrease was likely due to early upgrades and low profits due to high cost and high SQ rating. Year 14's decrease was due to Company D taking some of our predicted market share because they increased their SQ rating from 7 stars to 9 stars. And then finally, in year 19's decrease was likely due to Company D taking a portion of our private label demand. Next is our global market share. Overall, our global market share went up pretty consistently, although we also had some decreases in year 14 and 19. In year 14, competitors began adopting a higher SQ rating, and at that time we did not think we could be profitable by using the same strategy. Therefore, we had to adapt to the changing market and the advantages that some of our competitors had over us. In year 19, we tried to increase the market share in the private label market, specifically in North America and Latin America. This way we could stay competitive within these markets. However, Group D undercut our selling price in the private label market by 50 cents. In North America, Group D also took 33% of the market share from us, and in Latin America, they took about 58% of the market share. This was all due to them being able to sell at a lower price than we were able to provide. Next, I'd like to talk about our stock price. Our stock price went up for the most part, but we can see a big drop in year 11. This is likely due to our expenditures that were really high because we chose to do a lot of upgrades early on in order to help us increase sales that would help us out later um, in later years. Our main expected expenditures that contributed to this decrease in stock price were um, the first one, upgrade A, which reduced our assembly line rejection rate of shoes by 50%. In our Asia plant, this was significant because our Asia plant was producing a majority of our merchandise. Um, we also decided to invest in upgrade B, which cut our facility production costs in North America by 50%. We thought this would be a good idea because we realized production costs were really high in North America, in the North America plant, and um, this plant was significantly lower in production rates than our Asia plant. Another reason that our stock price went down during this time was because we attempted to use 100% of superior materials. However, we later realized that this was not cost effective for us to do this because we could just increase standard materials that we used and then decrease the superior materials that we were using in production in order to decrease our overall costs while maintaining the same SQ rating. Uh, Next, Skylar is going to continue with the presentation.
Hi, I'm Skylar Charlton. I'm co-owner of Borderless Shoes. And first I'd like to talk about our credit rating. Our credit rating for the majority of the years was very good at an A+. However, initially our credit rating did go down. This is due to us actually having to take out more loans initially to pay for upgrades and future investments, which would help us in the long run. However, really hurt us initially. Other than that, though, our credit rating was helped improved by us paying off our loans early on, which in year 15 I believe we did completely. And from year 14 on, we never really had to worry about credit rating because we just didn't have to borrow or take out any more loans. Our image rating, for the most part, was a positive trend. In year 13, we had a very large spike. This is due to our SQ rating increasing to above anyone in the market. And we believe our image rating being boosted that much is just due to our superior product at the time. However, in the next year, in year 14, it decreased back to, normal conditions because of another team increasing their SQ rating from 7 to 9, which beat us by 1, meaning that our market share in general had been taken and we weren't the best anymore. But from then on, our image rating, for the most part, continued to go up. Our global unit sales, for the most part, again, are very positive. However, initially, until about year 16, we focused mainly on wholesale sales. Until then, it was really only feasible to focus on them because private label just wasn't in it for us. The cost per pair sold was just too high for us to even compete in the market. So we decided to wait, bide our time, and increase production until we had enough to actually compete in the market. Until then, we really kept things pretty steady for the most part, and really didn't try to stick our heads out or, increase production costs too much until then. Our strategic planning exercise in year 15, we decided to keep our SQ ratings high with our cost low. Now, because we weren't the highest anymore in the market, we decided to not really be the highest. However, we decided to keep it where it was and just focus on improving our quality, improving our image, and pretty much making ourselves known at that point. This was because we had already done upgrades which would help us in other areas, but not really SQ areas. So we had to kind of focus around that. Another thing we continued to do was have heavy celebrity appeal and advertising advantage. This really helped us with our SQ rating and with our sales. And we expanded into the private label market from year 15 on. In year 15 and 16, we didn't have many sales just because we didn't have the capacity. However, each year past that, we tried to increase it at least 1,000-fold. And very quickly, we began to have significant portions of the private label under our control. And lastly, for our strategic planning, we every year changed according to the market. Sometimes SQA rating would go up, sometimes cost of production would go down. Certain things in certain markets would have to change, and we'd have to adjust our prices in private label, sometimes lower, higher. It really varied according to each year. For our competitive analysis, we chose Dynamic Athletics as our main competitor. This is because their SQ rating was the highest of anyone in the market and was really the closest to ours. Not only this, but they also embraced a high price stance for as well as we did. And they also invested early on upgrades and to lower costs. So this helped them have a higher SQ rating while having lower costs than us, which really they took a large market share from us because of our SQ rating. However, we were able to stick in just because we lowered our prices and increased advertising so much to where we kept our foot in the market. For the lessons learned in this project, we learned not early on, but we learned that focusing on SQ rating upgrades early on would have been much more beneficial to us than increasing production runs to upgrades. This is because our production run upgrades in some of the areas didn't save us too much money in the long run. I mean, they did save us money. However, increasing the SQ rating because of our amount of production would have saved us at least maybe twofold. So we really could have done a lot better with the SQ rating and saving money. Another thing is repurchasing stock in early years. We had a very low stock price on years 11 and 12, 13. And we could have bought back, honestly, most, if not all of our shares, and that would have significantly increased not only our stock price, but our ROE and our EPS, which would have not only made our company very much more appealing, but would have just made it look better in general. And lastly, what we should have focused on was focusing on production in certain areas. What I mean by this is if we had focused on increasing production in North America and Asia, initially, by increasing production in those areas, say from 4,000 to 6,000, instead of doing production in Europe, for instance, we would have saved a lot more money. Because at first we expanded into Europe as 1,000 production, and that really took a lot of toll on production costs just because of economies of scale. So if we would have done that early on, we would have saved a lot of money and probably could have lowered our prices and gotten more market share for that. But unfortunately, in the last few years, we really weren't able to do that, and we lost a good portion of our market shares the last 2 years because of private label. So could have done better, but oh well. So I just want to say congratulations to Team A on your awesome victory. We kind of tied with our rivals, Team D, so good job, guys, too. Anyways, thank you, and